have it after.
There we go.
So if anybody needs to leave because they don't want to be recorded, now would be the time. Yes, thank you very much. My name is Brad Solomon. I am the co-founder of SC Digital. We're a digital marketing agency based primarily in Portsmouth, but we work with clients certainly all over the state of New Hampshire, all over New England, and really all over the world. Now we've got some across the borders as well. So really, really excited and happy to be able to do this webinar with you all today. Lots of familiar faces. It's so cool to see everybody here. And then lots of people that I don't know. So I wanted to share some information that we find often gets missed when business owners are either starting out and creating their Google My Business, or as it's known, the Google Maps profile. With things that just get missed, or things that change over time. And if you never go back to see what has changed and what new opportunities are available to you, you're just never going to know that you're missing an opportunity, right? So I want to shed a little bit of light on that today and give you first of all, some pitfalls to avoid, some tips on how to really optimize this profile for maximum visibility in Google search. And then also show you some of the things that we do inside the agency as far as tools to really kind of give our clients an unfair advantage in being able to really optimize these profiles and their entire digital presence. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and I'm going to flip on over to this and click on present. So this is obviously the name of the webinar, rapid fire Google My Business strategies that actually work, because there's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't work. Are you seeing my screen?
We're seeing
All
the
right, what
blank.
did I do? Okay, so I selected the canvas thing again. Here we go.
I thought you were going to draw for us.
It defaults to that. For some reason, it defaults to that. How about now? Is that better? All right. Good. So here we go. Now that we've cost ourselves 10 seconds. First of all, let's first define what the Google My Business page actually is. This right here are the 4 different parts of the SERP. What's called the SERP is the search engine results page. So we're going to first define exactly the Google My Business piece. First of all, up in the top left corner, we've got our Google guaranteed listings. These contractors are paying money to be there. They have a separate insurance policy set up with Google, and they pay per phone call in order to get those calls. And that would be something that if you were interested in getting set up, we can show you how to do it really easily. The second section are the ads. They're harder and harder to tell the difference. The ads are harder and harder to tell the difference now, because now it's just literally a little thing in the left corner that says ad. It used to be highlighted in yellow and purple and blue and everything, but now it's very, very subtle. Lots of times people click on that without even knowing they've clicked an ad, which is fine. Google My Business is the top right corner. That's in the blue square, and that's what we're primarily going to be talking about today. Pound for pound, dollar for dollar, I think that this is the most valuable, inexpensive real estate on the entire SERP, because you don't have to pay per click. It showcases all of the most important facets of your business, including the reviews, the phone number, the website, how to get to your business if it's a brick and mortar location, where you're located, and there's only a few businesses there. So this is the high rent district, so on, so to speak. And then the organic listings are in the bottom right corner. Organic SEO is something we've been doing for a really long time. We're really, really good at it. And the problem is that it's less and less important every day. And I hate to say that. There's a lot of people that probably want my head for saying that, but you got to scroll past 15 links in order to even get to your organic listings now, right? So really, Google My Business, the Google Maps is just ultimately the most important thing we need to be dealing with right now. Here's what it looks like. You can take a look here. Here's a couple of examples. So on the left corner, you Google Portsmouth podiatrist. You could see Northeast Foot and Ankle. They show up first in the maps. They've got the most reviews. If you're looking for a Portsmouth podiatrist, you're probably calling them just based on that. Same thing on the right-hand side. These are both clients, by the way. On the right-hand side here, we've got LaPlante Electric. If you're looking for a backup generator in Maine, they're so dominant for that they actually occupy the whole right side of the search results page. Because they have such great equity in that particular keyword in Google. If you can get there, that's a great place to be. So this is what we're talking about when we talk about Google My Business. Those are all determined based on the Google My Business profile. Whoops, let's go back. We skipped. There we go. So there's a few different things that you can do on the My Business profile that a lot of times people miss. So there's all this information on the left-hand side here, and all of it is editable by the business owner or by the business. You can be doing Google posts. You can be filling out all of your information, and we're going to get into more detail on on exactly what information is most important. But there's probably 25 different fields that you can fill out with information. And many times when we look at these profiles, when we either take over for somebody or when we do an audit, maybe 7 to 10 of them are filled in and the rest of them are just sort of left blank. So lots of untapped opportunity for a lot of people. Online reviews, I'm going to like harp on this every third slide. Online reviews are literally the single most important thing most businesses can be doing, is generating online reviews, but not just generating reviews, generating keyword rich reviews that trigger to Google what your business is even about. And we'll show you in a second how that's valuable. This is hidden, and the reason I have it on this slide this early in the presentation is that if you take nothing else from this, find this link in your Google My Business profile, which you can get to by just going to mybusiness.google.com and pulling it up. This link is the one that if you want a review from somebody, you should be sharing this link. You know, don't tell somebody, hey, go find me on Google and leave me a review. Like, give them the actual direct link so that it's easy for them to get there. They do need to be logged in with a Google account in order to leave you a review. And then we know we've got products, we've got services. We can, of course, fill out photos, little things that you can do on your photos to really help enhance the ability to get those photos to show up in search. We'll talk about that in a minute. First, I want to sort of get into a few of the mistakes that people often make when it comes to setting these kinds of things up. The number one mistake that you can make when you set up a Google My Business page is to have your listings be inconsistent. So if you've got your website says your name a certain way, and then your Apple Maps says it another way, and then your Google My Business page says another different way, Google doesn't understand who you are and what you do and what your actual name is. And we've seen this happen where there'll be an apostrophe in their name over on this listing and no apostrophe over here, or they're listed at this address on this listing, and then they're listed at like a unit number over here on this listing. And when Google doesn't really understand something, when the robots can't like clearly understand what's happening with your business, they just go, "Yep, whatever, we're going to move on," and they'll show somebody else. So we call it NAP consistency, name, address, and phone needs to be 100% consistent throughout the entire internet, if you can possibly get to that point. Multiple listings, we see this happen all the time. Business hires somebody to put the Google My Business page up. That person puts the Google My Business page up, but then they quit. Nobody ever knows that they've already done it. Then somebody else does one, and then another one, and nobody gets access, right? Because the business owner doesn't control it. So you're going to want to prevent multiple listings by making sure that whoever owns the business or whoever is the CEO of the business has 100% primary ownership access to that Google My Business listing, because they will always be able to go in and remove people, add people, and assign, you know, different roles and responsibilities. But you definitely don't want to have multiple Google My Business listings out there, because what happens is like this one gets a bunch of reviews and then this one gets a bunch of reviews. This one has inaccurate information. You want to merge the two, and Google will really not make that an easy process. So at every turn, avoid multiple listings. And then there's just not even owning the listing. There's not even doing anything with it, or allowing sort of the algorithm to do it for you, which you definitely don't want to do. So you absolutely want to own your listing, and you want to 100% have access to it as the primary owner through the CEO or the owner of the business's Google address. And yeah, I knew that there's more. I mean, there's more massive mistakes, right? So I wanted to give you a few bonus massive mistakes. And that says 4, but I guess there's 5. So I put 5 on there for you. Not claiming the business is obviously a main problem that we run into. Not having an online review strategy. You know, if you have like 1, 2, or 3, 4 reviews, something like that, and you have a competitor with 25 or 30 or 40 reviews, it's going to be very hard for your potential customer to choose you instead of them, because they have 10 times the credit you have in reality. And having a lot more reviews gives Google a lot more data to choose from when determining who they're going to display. And again, I'll show you how that works in a minute. But you got to have an online review strategy to really make sure that you're consistently improving that online reputation. Not making it easy for people is a big mistake. Yeah, go find me on Google, leave me a review. You know how many people are going to actually do that? It's going to be somewhere between 0 and 1, right? So you don't want to leave it up to chance. You send the link and say, it would be great if you leave me a review, or hopefully you were happy with your service. If you give us a review, that'd be greatly appreciated, whatever it is. But you grab that short link right from the My Business page that I showed you earlier, and I can answer questions on how to get to it later. Hey, if somebody, you're going to get a bad review every now and then. But if you do, don't respond combatively, be polite, and make sure that you have an online review strategy in place well before you get that first bad one, so that the bad one is suppressed by all the good ones that you've had. So that's the smartest thing that you can do, because almost every business type is going to get a bad review every once in a while, except for Freedom Accounting, Linda Spinelli. But like, other than that, most businesses are going to end up with a bad review every now and then. Like, even the best restaurant on earth gets a 1 or a 2-star review because somebody's upset that their steak was overdone. And if we've got, for every bad one, for every 3 to 4 star review, we've got 55-star reviews, then they almost don't matter as much. So definitely have a strategy implemented for that. And then, of course, make sure that all of your data is actually in there. I see a lot of my business pages that don't have the actual data in there, and you're missing an opportunity. If you don't have your phone number in the My Business page, then you're missing that opportunity, because people want to call you, and they want to call you from that particular property, because it's just the easiest way to do it. So just be sure that everything is 100% filled out. This kind of harkens back to what I was saying before. Having an online review strategy in place will sort of prevent how bad it is if you actually get a bad one in the future. Sometimes, if we don't own our businesses, or if we haven't claimed the page, then or if somebody else claimed it for us, right? That's always really nice of folks. Usually it's done by accident, but sometimes it's done on purpose by a competitor. I've seen that more than once. You can pretty much go and you can click on Own This Business, and then that will trigger an email to whoever actually owns that listing. And most of the time, unless you're in like some knockdown, drag out battle with your closest competitor, you should be able to get it. And even if somebody did that to you, which is unlikely, you can prove that you own the business. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. You take a picture of yourself with your business card in front of your sign or whatever it is. Google will work with you on that kind of stuff, because they know that this isn't particularly easy to deal with. And if you need support, you just go into the Google My people say, how do I even talk to Google? Well, they're actually they're pretty responsive. If you just go into mybusiness.google.com, and in the bottom left-hand corner, you click on support, you can many times just chat directly with them. You can send them an email. They will respond to you. You can even call them. But I've found that I actually get very good response with an email. Surprisingly enough, it does work. Here's how you add and delete a user. Many of you probably already know how to do this, no problem, but I will tell you, I've seen so many of these Google My Business profiles that have 17 different users in there from all the different people that have worked for your business in the past. You got to get rid of those people. Or agencies that have worked for your business in the past, you got to take them out. So once you've severed a relationship, you want to keep that thing high and tight and clean. And you just get into it by going to users over here, and you want to always be the primary owner of whatever it is that we're talking about. Okay, so how do we actually show up in more searches? This is kind of like why we're all here, right? Well, first of all, you want to make sure you fill out every field to its fullest extent. And what I mean by that is, like, if you have 750 words for the description of your business, which you do, fill the whole thing out with 750 characters. Not 3 lines of text. Like, give it the full thing. Talk about all of your services in that description. Talk about the cities that you work in, the states that you serve, the different types of customers that you serve. Think about all the different ways that a client could search for your business, all the different reasons that they would search for your business, and get everything into that description. So if you're a personal injury lawyer, and you also do Social Security, disability, and workers' compensation, think about all the different reasons that people may need you, and all the different cities that they may need you in, and get them into that description, and write it in a way that is understandable by a search engine and conversational to a person, as if you were talking to a person about it. Make sure that the website that your Google My Business page is connecting to is consistent with what's on the Google My Business page. Right? Google is basically taking what's on your website, specifically on the homepage, because that's probably the URL that you're directing everybody to. They're going to take that information and match it up to what's happening with Google on Google My Business, and that's one of the ways that they're going to show you up in ranks. Use the question and answer section. I'll show you how we use this to a client's advantage in a minute, or how it was used to a client's advantage in a minute. But that is something that almost nobody uses, almost nobody recognizes that. It was pointed out to me by somebody quite a while back, and I had always just glossed over it. And she said, do you realize how valuable this is? Because almost nobody uses the FAQ or the Q&A section. I'll show it to you in a sec. And then probably most importantly, when you're getting online reviews, invite the people leaving you the review to talk about the service, the specific service that you provided to them, and the city in which you provided it, or the state in which you provided it. So here's what I was talking about with the information, right? So you click on info over here on the left, and you have this description, right? So this is one of our clients, Mike Romps is his name. He's a youth mentor, and he's a fitness coach, right? So we're gonna fill up every single word we can. We're gonna be as descriptive about his business as we possibly can. We're gonna include cities, we're gonna include regions, what is it that he does, mentoring for children, adults, families, basketball trainings. He does all of these things. There's no reason not to include it all. Take as much time as you need on this description, because it is infinitely valuable to your business. There's also all these things that you can do here as far as products goes, right? So you click on the left side there, you can fill out all these products. All of this stuff goes into the Google algorithm. Google is using all of this information to try and figure out what it is that you do, right? So if you're if you're a CPA firm, or a tax firm, a tax consulting firm, and a bookkeeping firm, you want every single one of those things to be products with clear descriptions as to what those things actually are and who you serve. Same thing on the services side. You can fill this up with every service that you offer, right? So if you're let's just say, for instance, you own a pet resort, right? So you do dog training, dog boarding, anything having to dog walking, right? Anything having to do with what you do, you want it listed in your services. And then don't ignore that right arrow over there, because that is where you actually fill up the description of the particular service, and it matters. It really, really matters to Google, at least in our experience. I don't profess to have the Google algorithm sitting here and I'm reading it, because they don't publish that. It's like the KFC original recipe, right? They don't give it to anybody, but we know the kinds of things that have tended to work over time, and sort of evidence as to why they work and how they work. So here's an example. Remember earlier I said, if you're going to get reviews, you should get keyword-rich reviews where people actually describe what it is that you did for them. So here's me sort of Googling our own business 3 different times for 3 different keywords. This one up here, SEO agency Portsmouth, right? Down here, it pulls a review that mentions SEO, right? And there's a reason that it did that, because it's trying to show, Google is trying to show the viewer or the searcher something that is most relevant to their search. Same thing over here, online marketing, right? Online marketing Portsmouth, it pulls a completely different review. Digital marketing Portsmouth, SE digital future, digital marketing, completely different review, right? It's trying to be as relevant as possible to that which the person is actually searching for. So when somebody leaves you a review, ask them to be specific about what you did for them. Here's another example. One of our clients, Omaggio Salon in Salem. If you look up, hair extensions, Salem, New Hampshire, it goes and it finds a review talking about hair extensions. Generators, Maine. There's my guy, LaPlante Electric. This person had an installation of a generator pulled in. So it all helps. And it's one of those sort of little known facts, but it's less little known now, which is what I'm here for. Use your Q&As. There's a section on the Google My Business section that says question and answers. And my suggestion would be for you to have people that tend to have a lot of questions. Maybe it's your mother or your father or your friend or your client. Go on there and ask questions that are frequently asked. For instance, our client Northeast Foot and Ankle, they wanted to try and improve their rankings in Greenland, New Hampshire. So somebody asked them, do you guys even service Greenland, New Hampshire? We sure do. And that actually ended up helping them to improve their ranks for that particular term, foot doctor in Greenland, New Hampshire, or podiatrist in Greenland, New Hampshire. Same idea here. We have people asking us questions, you answer them. It's just more content for Google to sort of chew on, as it were. All right, so what metrics should we even care about? Well, first of all, the most important metric in Google My Business is the number of online reviews that you have. Like you've got to get that number up there, and you don't have to have 1,000. You just need to have considerably more than the top person in your community right now that you're competing with, than your top competitor. I think that you want to try and shoot to have way more than that next person. That's the goal. So if you can have twice as many good reviews as the next person over, then you're doing pretty well. And so that's one main thing that I would monitor. I would also want to monitor the number of phone calls generated, and you can get that information from within the insights in Google My Business, or from the phone. The phone app actually gives you that loud and clear right there in front of you. How many times have people viewed directions to actually get to your establishment? That's also an important metric. We want to see that number going up over time. How many times are they clicking to my website from the Google My Business page? We also want to see that going up over time. Discovery versus direct is one of those things that I really like, because it shows me how many people am I getting that weren't necessarily looking for me directly. They were looking just for somebody that does what I do. And that's the number that you want discovery to be, 60 to 65% of all of the traffic that's coming from Google My Business, because that's what tells you that you're actually getting people that weren't already planning on coming to you. So you want that blue section of the pie to be at least 50 to 60% if possible. And these are all in the insights section of Google My Business. So very, very convenient to get to. And then, okay, so we talked a little bit about like the different tools that we use. And these are 3 main tools that we use in the agency that can be helpful. Because earlier we talked about, well, how do we get keyword rich reviews? How do we make sure that we show up very prominently in Google search? Well, you need to know what people are actually searching for in order to know sort of what to put in there. So one of the tools we use to figure that out is what's called Mangools. And I think I have it pulled up right here. So you can pretty much put any keyword in here that you want. Like I looked up the word hot tub supplier and click on find keywords, and you can get accurate search volume on that keyword, and then other values, like other different words that are similar to it, so that you can really see what you should be optimizing for. Same thing here. You could just remove the word hot tub supplier and see really what people care about. Oh, inflatable hot tub. So if I own a hot tub place and I do the amount of keyword research, just a small amount of keyword research, I now know that, and I probably know this anyways, but maybe not, there's a lot of demand for that. That has way more searches than like anything else, inflatable hot tubs. So maybe that's an opportunity for me. So we use this tool, Mangools, to help us understand what people really want in the marketplace. Another tool that we use is what's called Swell, and this allows you to automate your online review generation. So if somebody comes in, Brent, I think that Brent from Revive Mobile Detailing is on this call. So somebody gets their car mobile detailed, you can automatically send them a text message using this tool. It'll say, hey, hope you're enjoying your nice clean car. If you are, please leave us a review. It'll give them the link. You didn't have to do it every single time. It just takes care of it for you. So it sort of automates that review getting process, which is just so important. So that's another tool that we use in the agency. And then the third one is TapClicks, which basically gives you the ability to view like all of your information, all on one single screen. And the reason that I like that is that it gives me the opportunity to go, okay, I want to see how this changes when I do this. I want to see how this gives me more traffic when I spend this, or when I go and advertise on this location, or whatever the name is, right? So TapClicks is a very, very good tool for doing that. So these are 3 different tools that we use in the agency, and if anybody can use them. Okay, pros and cons of Google My Business, right? Let's get right into this. First of all, it's very, very easy to set up. Everybody should do it. Super important, because as we talked about, it's very prominently displayed above all the organic listings, and you don't have to pay per click. You can pay per click in Google My Business. You just have to buy ads for it. Highly visible, and anybody can do it. That's also part of the problem. Anybody can do it. That's a major issue for a lot of businesses, is that anybody can set up a Google My Business page for you and screw the whole thing up, right? So be careful of what you ask your employees to do, because otherwise you'll end up with seven different profiles, and they all say something else, and you won't have any control over what's out there on the internet about you. Problems can be challenging to overcome. So that's why I said use your use the support ticketing system. And they're accessible in the bottom left-hand corner of your My Business profile. And hey, you know what? Bad reviews, it stinks. But at the end of the day, I'd rather know about them ahead of time and be able to deal with them and respond professionally, and maybe they turn it around, as opposed to just having it sit out there. So you can only do that if you've claimed and have 100% access to this property. So just in case you didn't watch the whole thing, this is the too long didn't read version. Number one, claim the page. Number two, get a strategy together to get online reviews. Make your responses and potentially the reviews keyword rich. That will help you in your search rankings more than these things help you more than pretty much anything else. And then load it up with all the information. Every single place where you can put information, put information. And as long as you do those things, then you're going to be in good shape. And we are done like 60 seconds early. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And there's one in the chat, but it might be, okay, no. Somebody telling me that they couldn't hear me.
Hey, Rick.
What's that?
I see Rick raising his hand. What you got for a question, Rick?
Yeah, thanks, Bradley. Great job. Quick question from a servicing perspective, company-wise, is this something that you do like a one-time thing to set it up, like a hired company like yourself, or is it an ongoing monthly maintenance type thing?
There's a couple different ways we can tackle it. We can either do a one-time setup for it, or we can do a monthly maintenance thing where we're actually helping you to generate those online reviews, helping you respond to them, because so many people don't respond to their reviews. So we do offer that as a service. And then we can also offer Google posting. So something we didn't even get into is the fact that you can actually put up Google posts, which don't necessarily show up organically in searches. Not that I've seen in the past anyways, but if somebody looks you up and you have a Google post up for them to see, it's a really good way to just give them a little bit more updated information about your business. So either way, whether it's a one-time thing and then the business wants to take over from there, or whether they want it managed more proactively on a monthly or a weekly basis, we can do any of it.
What about from compliance? We're in the securities industry, very highly regulated. Online is taboo for anything, Facebook, anything like that. So with regards to working with our compliance department or something like that, is that something you're familiar with or dealt with?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we work with a lot of financial planning firms. We work with a lot of, we work with a lot of healthcare firms, insurance firms, and there's always compliance guidelines. There's always branding guidelines. Everything always needs to be approved ahead of time. And a lot of times firms actually sort of have posts that are already created. Somebody just needs to put them up there. And so they often just need somebody to sort of remove the burden of implementation for making those things happen. But either way, getting online reviews is probably never going to be against any compliance measures. The way they're responded to might be. But those kinds of things, a lot of this Google My Business stuff is, they want you to have your phone number. They want you to have the website in there. It's all going to be there. It's just a matter of optimizing it. And so, yeah, we're really familiar with how to deal with that kind of stuff. And we've worked with some tough legal departments before where, you can't put anything up unless it's been approved. So we know what that's all about, right, Katie Estabrook? That's
We do have another question, Brad, from Don.
Thank you, Brad.
How do you claim a business listing if you have exhausted all prior attempts to do so?
We would need to look at what you've already done and potentially get on the phone with Google. Sometimes they will actually give you specific instructions, like you may have to prove that you actually work in the business. So they may require you to do crazy things. Like you might have to submit your incorporation paperwork and tie your name to that address, right? There's very specific measures that they make everybody go through, because otherwise, any of us could just go and claim we could just say we're Jeff Bezos and just claim Amazon's Google My Business listing. So they keep and it could have happened to any of us. So they keep everything pretty tight. But if you are really entitled to that My Business listing, there's usually channels that we can go through to make it happen. We ran into it the other day where, somebody had an agency that was, they owed them money, they owed the agency money, right? So the agency was, keeping that as collateral. And, you know, we helped them get a hold of it because we were able to prove to Google that, hey, this is our business. I own the business, and we made it work. So it's not easy, but it can be done in most cases. You know, if you've got a legitimate case to make, you can usually do it.
Great.
Any other questions? Hopefully this was helpful.
Have more questions while Brad's here. Anybody else?
How do we get this sent to us, Brad?
It's going to be on my website. So once we have this we're recording this, I'll put it on my website under the blog section, or the education section, and we'll put it on there, and you can go back and watch anytime you want. And Jonathan, I'm happy to sit down with you anytime, and we can kind of go through some of this stuff. No problem. Same goes for anybody. So if anybody kind of just feels like they want to have a second set of eyes on this, like, I think I did it all, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's another opportunity where, you know, maybe I could have done more with it, or, you know, what am I missing? I can absolutely set up a time to chat with you. We can do a screen share. My calendar link is in the chat. So if you would like to set up a 15-20 minute Zoom one-to-one, we can totally do that. And, you know, see what we can't uncover for you for opportunity.
Awesome. Other questions? Anybody? I'm so impressed with how fast you did that.
Thanks. Me too.
Brad is a speed talker.
Yeah, exactly. If there's anything I know how to do, it's talk really, really fast.
We're getting
Hey, Tyler, good to see you.
Getting a lot of great thank yous and efficiency machine comments, which is great.
That's the
I feel
idea.
inspired. I love to see that one. That's what we want.
Good to see everybody.
Looks like all the questions have been answered for now, but I'm sure you'll get many more to come your way. So
that's a
thank
good
you,
thing.
Brad. It's always so great when you speak for us, and I'm so glad that everybody was able to join us today. We will be sending out a follow-up to you all that will have links to Brad's website, etc., in case you don't have those already. So stay tuned for that shortly. And I hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon. Hopefully you can go eat some lunch now, some of us.
Yes, absolutely. We wanted to try and get everybody out in a reasonable period of time, so you still actually do get a lunch break.
Yeah, and would love feedback, you know, if this rapid, you know, half an hour session was preferable to most of you. Just feel free to reply. Cole, my colleague who you see on this meeting, will send out the email, and just feel free to let us know your thoughts on that, because it was Brad's brilliant idea to kind of do it really rapid fire, and you know, with all of the Zoom fatigue we're having in the world. So let us know what you think. And I think that's it. Yes.
That's it. I put my review link in there, by the way, if you wanna see how it works. You'll see, you just go right into somebody's Google My Business page. And if you're already logged in with your Google account, it takes you right there, and it sort of removes the burden of trying to figure out, you know, for them trying to figure out how to actually get there. So.
Awesome. That's the link that you just posted?
Yeah. Yep. And I also put my calendar link in there. So if anybody wants to schedule a time, we can walk through things.
Excellent. And if you didn't grab those from this, just email us and we'll get them to you.
You got it.
All right. Thank you so much, Brad.
Great seeing everybody.
Hey,
Good job. Awesome info.
Have good afternoons.
Take care, everybody.
Dude, thank you.
Bye.